I will say that the psychological and political backdrop is very different this time for financials. Last time, as you know, they were seen as the cause of the problem, and authorities and the public wanted to punish them as well as to save them, whereas this time I think financials are seen as part of the solution and not the cause of the problem.
Right. I want you to help us not just with how we help the financials, but we've got to help the airlines. We've got to help individual small companies and restaurants and try to keep make it so that there's jobs for employees when they come back. We've got to help Boeing. How do you do all of those things in a way that maybe the government gets paid back, or that shareholder? Andrew always talks about taking private losses and basically turning them into taxpayer losses. How do you avoid doing that?
Oh, I don't think you can. I don't think you can. And I think it's even trickier in the following way, which is no matter what anybody does or what any government program does, there's going to be a chunk of the economy where people just aren't working. And until either that comes back or they're gain employment in parts of the economy that are working, GDP will go down. It just will. And that means you'll have recession. You just will. And I don't really see a way to avoid that. And I don't see a way to make this all fair and beautiful and pretty. I think that's going to be hard.
In the future, it's going to be hard to politically or at least public sentiment-wise. We're going to talk about buybacks. Again, we're going to talk about Boeing and the 30 or 40 billion in buybacks that company orchestrated, only to be perhaps get a much larger number from the federal government. We're going to talk about CEO compensation. All these things are going to be hot-button issues, hopefully when we're on the other side of this.
Well, I mean, I think this is certainly not the moment for companies to be accepting needed government support and then doing buybacks or paying big dividends or paying themselves a lot of money. I think that's fairly obvious.
Too late. Go ahead, Andrew. They're already in that position. Andrew, go ahead.
Hey, Chris, as I've been thinking about it, to me, there's only two real approaches. Either you basically give to everybody on the same terms across the board, and maybe that's the form of a bridge loan, and maybe there's some kind of grant effectively at the end of it, assuming people stay employed. Or you do this very idiosyncratic approach. It's probably cheaper in some ways to do the idiosyncratic approach of saving the airline, saving Boeing, for example, but then deciding not to save somebody else. But then you're going to have a decade, if not more, of, as you just talked about it, politics. What is the right answer for the economy, though?
Well, I think the right answer, in one sense, I think the right answer to the economy, there's no question the right answer to the economy is to offer support broadly. Whether, how tailored it should be is for others to say. There's no doubt about it. But in doing that, it still doesn't change the fact that, a chunk of the economy is just not going to be working, and the GDP is going to be lower. So even if people affected by that have money and can get through it, we're going to have, a heck of a recession anyway. But whether that should be, like Boeing should get it and XYZ shouldn't, or everybody should get it, it's hard, a little hard to see how everybody would get it without some kind of system and formula and distinction, it would seem. So, for example, if everybody gets it, how much do I get and how much do you get, just out of curiosity?
Right.